What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. Mr. Ray, what's going on, brother?
Life is good, Wes. Gunther posted something. I guess he was at a vendor, and they have a kind of calendar branded with their logo, and it says a quote from Winston Churchill. I am an optimist. I don't see much use in being any other way, or something to that effect. So, yeah, that pumped me up. Thank you, Gunther, for posting that.
Love it, dude. Sorry, my back's a little tight. So we had some good conversations. I had the scorecard meeting this morning, and then Ray, Brent, and I were having some discussions on branding, et cetera. Brent is helping me out with some projects for my business, and some good topics came up there. So, Ray, what do you think, and what are some things that we talked about that you think would be worth sharing with the team?
Well, we were talking about like procrastinating, basically, for lack of a better word, and how that looks in how I express procrastination, how Brent expresses procrastination, and how you express procrastination. And when it comes to commitments between, our brothers and our loved ones and our colleagues, that is one form. But even paying bills, is something I procrastinate doing. And so you brought up the idea of closing loops, which I thought was reminded me of closing loops, which you've talked about before on this pod, which is a very helpful concept.
Yeah. I mean, so let's get into it. I think there's a couple aspects here that we were talking about this morning. I think number one was there's an element of doing casual work that in a weird way, we can actually complete that casual work faster because there's not the expectation on the receiving side. So do you think Brent would mind us using his example?
Yeah, I'm sure he would be fine.
Okay. So Brent
we'll blur out his face and alter his voice if he requests it. Right?
Yeah. So Brent has done some great work for our
outstanding work.
Yeah. And so as a result, I asked him to do some work for my actual business. And he's experiencing a little mental friction around that, like it's taking a lot longer than he thought, et cetera. So there's this idea of like, hey, why are you able to get this stuff done so fast on the men's team side? And he was self-critiquing. I was not critiquing, and Ray was not critiquing. And he's like, I'm experiencing like delayed, right? Like a delay in my work from when it's a commercial thing, when it's a paid project. So I think there's an element, and then Ray chimed in of saying, I've experienced that too. Much like Delco Jim, I would assume, it's really easy to tell jokes in front of your friends, right? Well, a lot harder even if you tell those same jokes up on stage, because there's a level of expectation. There's a trading of resources. I paid you my money. Now my level of expectation is higher. So there's a whole conversation inside of that. And I think one of the things that we concluded is work is not work. Shipping is work, right? Like the completion, the sending it over to the other side, that's the work. It's almost like nothing before it counts that much. So, and
like the clock isn't on, or the timer's hasn't started, right?
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, right, like we could hide behind, oh, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And the trump card is like, okay, are you on the field? Are you actually playing the game? And the way you know that you're playing the game is if you're sending stuff over, right, to the finish line. That's the goal. That is the goal, period. Nothing else matters. It's kind of like that saying in the Game of Thrones, nothing counts before the word but. Well, in business, nothing counts before the submission. It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter how many hours somebody puts into something. At the end of the day, if the consumer doesn't like the product or never receives the product, right? Like the prerequisite to whether or not they like it is to whether or not they've received it. then that's an issue. And that's it's a cool opportunity that we have to explore. So Ray, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, as you get older, it doesn't matter how many hours you put into the job. It is the deliverable, right? And so the outcome is what we were talking about during the scorecard, because time is not the metric that matters, right? Value is the metric that matters.
Yeah, I've said this before, and this has to do with relationships. It actually has to do with a lot of things. Like, time is not a measure of progress. Progress is a measure of progress. So the real vanity metrics don't serve any real purpose other than ego. Mm-hmm. The real metrics are, is there an exchange of value?
Right. And you hear comedians talking about this all the time. And I'm sure you hear comedians talking about this all the time. And I'm sure Delco, I think he's alluded to it too, where people who have been doing the game for 20 years will kind of stunt or kind of like, claim rank over a newcomer like Delco Jim, mm-hmm. where, but time is not the metric. It's the value is the metric, right? So if Delco Jim is making them laugh more than the guy who's been doing it 20 years, well, that is all you need to know about the quality of each performer. Yeah.
So, and I think we've confused this in the modern world because most people are delusionally, they think they're getting paid for their time because it's a 40-hour work week or whatever that is. The reality is you're not, right? Like, and if there's a good owner of the company, they know that they are not paying for your time. They are paying for the deliverables. It's just the overarching, umbrella is time, because that's just the simplest metric to use. So I would urge all of us to think about, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're an intrapreneur, I don't think you should be anything except for those two things. Either be an entrepreneur owning your own and operating your own business, or an intrapreneur running your own business inside of the company that you're working for. Always think about the value exchange. And time is not one of them. It is the weakest form of value exchange.
Powerful. Facts.
That's right, dude. So, I mean, let's just say, and most people have never really even thought through it through this lens, which is, I'll give an example. This is an easy example. I was advised to become an auditor when I first got into finance after college, because my mentor said, like, you need to learn the regulations. You need to learn. It's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be fun, but you'll be able to meet with all these executives and learn the underlying pinnings of finance, blah, 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 et cetera. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do it. You cannot get more unglamorous than auditing, as many of you could imagine. And our team was abysmal with completing projects. And then all of a sudden we got this guy in from like pretty heavy hitter for some like huge financial firms. And I love the guy. His name was Art. He's phenomenal. He came in and the audit schedule had never been completed, I think, for like the prior 10 years. Like every single year they set these goals and never hit them. And everybody on the team was kind of like casual about it, like, oh yeah, and then for this. This guy Art came in and he got his projects done ahead of time. Now, granted, I had to sleep in the office on occasion, but like the point was, he got his stuff done. He looked at it. He said, what are my deliverables? Oh, I have to get these risk reports done for all of these projects. That's the deliverable. Nothing else matters except for that. And dude, this guy, this is where I start to learn about like really cool project management stuff. Every single time we talked in a meeting, his question would be, does this get us towards the finish line? Yes or no? I know you want to go down this rabbit hole. I know you want to learn this stuff. That's great. But does this complete the project on time? Yes or no? And also he taught me that knowing when you go down certain rabbit holes could be valuable. It's not that it's not. It has nothing to do with that. The reality is, though, we made a decision as humans to get this ball over the finish line, and we are going to do that. That is more valuable than the potential value of you going down this rabbit hole. Now, there's no reason you can't go and get the projects done and go down the rabbit hole on your own time. Or get the projects done, you have a couple hours left in the day, okay, go down that rabbit hole. Go and explore that little piece of metric data that you wanted to explore, but not at the compromising of delaying the project. And as common sense as this sounds, it's not common practice at all. I mean, Ray, how many professionals do you work with that actually get their shit done on time?
I'm not one of them.
Yeah. It's hard. It is hard. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that a guy could hear. It's like, oh yeah, no, I got this. It's like, do you really? If I were to look at your last 5 projects or your commitments that you made to other human beings, did you complete them on time? Because I could tell you, I've got a lot of work. If you focus on that, I'm probably 50% successful. Mm-hmm. So I have a whole nother 50. I could be 100% more successful if I worked on that other 50%.
And that is the challenge, especially when you're working with your friends. If you have a friendly bond with your colleagues, which is important, mm-hmm. But that can confuse the matter, right? Where you assume that there's forgiveness baked into every schedule, that you have a slush fund of time, right? Because they're not really going to ride me hard if I don't deliver it on time.
Yep.
Any of you who have had an relative like fix your car, who's a mechanic, and you've asked them to fix your car, or as a house painter, you've asked them to paint your house.
6 months later.
Yeah. And so first of all, I mourn the loss of that relationship because it definitely has ended like mine have. Yeah. And they like, if that relative is smart, he will put the favor job at the very end of the priority list after all his paying clients have been taken care of. And even if he's not smart, that's what he'll do. So the job that your relative will do on painting the house or fixing your car will take twice as long and be half as good.
Dude, you're spot on. I had a friend.
As we continue to get friends to do things for us, right, Wes?
Dude, I'm telling you, I had a friend and I was asking him for some consulting. Super high-end business guy. And actually, so I'll just tell you, so this is our current business coach. And he was like, well, I'll do it for you for free because you guys are family. And I said, respectfully, sir, I know how that ends. Like, because you're a human, you're going to get resentful, or you're not, but you're just not going to follow through as much because it's going to be. So now he charges us $15,000 for 3 meetings, so $5,000 a meeting. So like, it went from nothing to, I'm not kidding, $5,000 a meeting. But guess what? I guarantee you that he would show up less than he has because he shows up on the dot every single time we have a meeting, once a month, and then we pay him once a quarter. I guarantee that it would not have been that frequent if we didn't pay him at all. There's zero chance.
Right, because in a business relationship, follow through is what you're being paid for, right? And if you have this hybrid friends and family rate, or I'll do it for free, you are creating wiggle room for the follow through not being required. And we all do it. It's almost human nature.
It's 100% human nature. This guy that we're paying, he's not an idiot. He is crazy successful, like unbelievably successful. It's just hardwiring of human beings. Mm-hmm. This is why I like money. It's one of the reasons I like money is it makes the unit of measure more precise, in my opinion, than anything else, because you count it in units. You can't count emotional units. When you say you love me, Ray, and I say I love you, that means we calculate those differently in our heads versus like, hey, Ray, give me $1,000. And you say, hey, Wes, give me $2,000. That is a very precise unit of transfer. And it's very serious because then you know that you're taking away from me something of value and simultaneously vice versa. So I think the overall point is, how can you become more serious about shipping? That is the work.
Mm-hmm. And like, because if you have a friends and family approach, chances are you're not going to be real with the person, right? 100%. You're not going to give them you're not going to call them on their bullshit or give them the tough news. And so as I approach this art gallery partnership that I am in the formation stages of right now, I have to remember to be real with this person I've known 20 years, but it's like, I have to be real with them, have the uncomfortable conversations as much as possible to make it, right. To focus on the follow through, to focus on the value, and not that, we're going into business to have a tea party.
Yeah. One thing we say constantly in our business is, what would a consultant say? Or if a public company CEO were running our company, what would he or she say? Because other times it's too hard. Like, all of the partners are very polite. I'm by far the least polite out of the group. But it's still hard when these people, you love these people. It's hard to say. Delco Jim, what's up, Beast?
What's up, Hollywood Jim?
What's up, Kings?
So let's have you weigh on this discussion. So the discussion now is leveling up your game to the point where you stop doing casual things and have to do more professional things. By the way, have both of you read The War of Art by any chance?
Mostly?
The War of Art? No, but I read The Art of War.
Got it. Awesome. That's an awesome book too. Ray, you said mostly. Is that what you said?
I can't remember. Did we do The War of Art in one of our book club
I can't remember.
sessions? Or might as well revisit it.
Dude, it is this exact topic, right?
The resistance.
There is a massive difference between being an amateur at something and being a professional at something.
Yeah, I have read the book now. I remember it. Yeah, vividly.
Yeah. As an amateur, you get the upside of the occasional win, and you get the upside of the out.
Well, I never really tried. So
exactly. Right.
You can't say that I failed.
Exactly.
I bailed before I failed.
Exactly. Right. And the downside of being a professional is that you can fail, but the upside is you get paid, and you can get paid a lot of money, and you can increase your skill. So you're leveling up the game. That's why I wanted to bring Delco Jim on here. Delco Jim, what is your thoughts on, I'm assuming it's way easier to be casually funny around your friends than it is to step on the actual stage where you're being paid and 300 people are looking at you to make them laugh. What are your thoughts?
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
You're exactly right. Going from just goofing around with your buddies to taking it onto a platform where you're trying to entertain, it's a completely different animal. Yeah. Because when you're with your friends, you can say things that, only you guys would know about. And then, when you go, like when I first started comedy, I would go on stage and I would talk about things that I thought people cared about. And it wasn't funny because I didn't care about it. And then I was given some advice that was like, hey, why don't you write stuff about shit you care about? And what you'll realize is that people are all more alike than different. And you'll be able to really relate to them if you write about things that you care about.
Hell yeah.
And so, I've been given a lot of priceless advice. I feel like that has moved me pretty far in a short time. And you guys are talking about having friends, dude. Having friends gets you in the door sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. A lot of times. Yeah. Seriously. Having friends in good places, because at the end of the day, you have to fucking perform. You have to bring it. So.
Yeah.
And all they're doing is opening the door.
And amateur.
Opening the door is not nepotism, right? Because we do that for others too. Holding the door open for someone. It's not giving them a job.
Right.
It's giving them a
it's different than nepotism.
Break. Or it's giving them like an opportunity to pitch.
Yeah.
It's not. Because at
the end of the day, they still have to fucking
deliver.
Perform. They still have to get in there and they have to show their value. They have to demonstrate why they would want to be rebooked, or in other cases, work with somebody again. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times, I have a thing. I have my videos I outsourced my video editing because I'm bad at computers. My buddy does it for free because we have a podcast together. And other people will ask him to do their reels, and he'll prioritize them because they give him money. And those people move his life forward. Mm-hmm. And I'm okay with that because it's still a good deal. So, You know what I mean?
like that. I like the way you said that. They move his life forward. That is providing value. Like, am I moving their life forward? That's strong.
Money, as horrible as it sounds, philosophically often doesn't trump the more emotional, squishy things, but pragmatically, it absolutely does. And I hate saying that, and I don't mean to sound like an evil capitalist, but if you look at like your friend, right, I'm sure loves you, right? I work with family all the time, and I can tell you that, I'm like, most people will prioritize where they're getting paid because they have to. Like, it's rational.
Right. It's it's almost like survival.
Exactly. It is your food. It is the equivalent to food and shelter and clothing.
Yeah.
It is, and to argue otherwise is, in my opinion, an irrational argument. Unless you have somebody who's just where money's not worth anything to them because they're so wealthy. It is the translation to resources for their family. Well, let me ask you guys this. In the spirit of talking about getting things done, shipping them out to the end user, that brings up the discussion of open loops. How many things do you guys both have in your lives that are open loops that should have been closed a while ago, and how do we commit to closing them? Ray, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah. So all I am is open loops, you know? And so I think that I've spent plenty of time, like, especially in my business, where I try to get things done first and figure out how I'll pay for them afterwards. And I've been able to get some amazing things done, but those bills are still hanging over my head, right? Like Damocles sword, whatever that means. So I don't know, Wes. I'm open to suggestions. I can pay one bill, and so I'm going to pay one bill today. But what about the other 7 people? What about the other 7 parties? Right?
Oh, okay.
Rather than
Meaning you owe them money?
paying each person 1/7 of what I owe them.
Yep. Yeah. Can I make a suggestion there?
Please.
So I think expectations are huge. And I think resetting expectations are even bigger. Mm-hmm. I think what happens with times with most people, number one, people set expectations up front that they just shouldn't be setting. And a little ninja trick that I use every once in a while is I will already have the work done and then tell somebody I'll get it to them in a few days. And then I'll send it to them the next day. Does that make sense? Like, that's a little ninja trick. I probably do it for about 30% of my tasks, where with clients, I'll say, hey, no problem, I'll get that done for you, right? Knowing that I already have it complete. So now I'll send it to them the next day, which is before their expectation. So in a weird way, I'm almost doing the opposite for those 30% of tasks. I am setting a false far expectation versus what most people do is set a false near expectation that they cannot meet.
Just to end the meeting on a happy note.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I'll get that over to you tomorrow. Or think about how many loops we open for no reason because it sounds polite to do it. Hey, man, we should get together sometime.
We double book ourselves.
100%, dude. Like, and it's like, how about just leaving the conversation of, hey, dude, it was super awesome seeing you, man. Looking forward to in the future seeing you sometime again. Something like that. Not like,
how about
hey,
they say, we should do this again. And you just silently leave that hanging.
Just fade into the background. Yeah. But how many loops do we open unnecessarily? How many expectations do we set that are for no reason set other than it sounds good to be set? So, but then here's the problem, right? Like we talked about this earlier. If Delco Jim tells me he's going to get me something by tomorrow, I probably didn't have the expectation of getting it tomorrow, but now I do. So there was no value add. There was only risk add. So now when he doesn't get it to me tomorrow, that's a problem. And now dents my perception of Delco Jim's ability to follow through on his word to me. And now, like, that can really weigh down a relationship over time to the point where, okay, I just consider you to be a flake at that point. And then at a certain point, like if you start saying, hey, we should go out for lunch and so on, it's so casual that it means nothing. And then our relationship is left in perpetual purgatory. So, Ray, to your point, once you already have those expectations set, in my personal opinion, when you know not at the time that the expectation is broken, but when you know that it is going to be broken. And sometimes that's 5 minutes later. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You're in your car on the way home from lunch. Hey, Ray, dude, I'm so sorry. I know I said that we should get together for lunch next week, and I checked my calendar, but honestly, bro, I'm just too packed. Can we just leave it on a play it by ear basis? Like, it's as simple as that. And I'm sure Ray would be like, yeah, that's way better than getting to next Tuesday when we were supposed to have lunch, and I call him at 11:59 and saying, hey, remember that lunch we were supposed to have that we kind of didn't solidify? I can't do that. Right. So I think, Ray, if you're in a little bit of purgatory right now with your expectations where you know you're not going to be able to pay somebody on the time that they're expecting, I would reach out to them now. Send a text message. You become super vulnerable, whatever, or make a phone call.
Okay.
Because way worse than what? Them reaching out to you or avoiding you.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let me just send a message to Lucas in the text right now.
Yep, there you go. And vulnerability is key, right? Hey, dude, don't have the money. Hey, dude, so sorry. Yeah, there you go. We need to reset the expectations. Is it cool? And it's so funny, man, especially as men, all of us men can relate to that. Like, that's so much more valuable than, right, than not being transparent. Because if you're not transparent with me, then I feel like you're hiding something from me. And if I feel like you're hiding something from me, you're not on my same team. And if you're not on my same team, right, then we're enemies. But that's sort of, it gets quickly to that level.
Whoa. Do you want to pull Lucas up?
In a world where we're all driven, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be that way. You have to have boundaries. You have to have, you know what I mean? You have to be strong in your convictions, and
Wes.
you know, it's important to be cognizant of those.
Okay, thank God he's getting ready for a meeting. Oh, thank God.
Delco Jim, what are your thoughts on all this stuff, bud? And are you dealing with any of this in your own personal life?
Yeah, I deal with this all the time. I deal with, like, my open loops are commitments I've made to, you know, bettering myself as far as, like, my mind, body, and spirit that I've really let fall to the wayside because I've been so just tunnel vision on, like, creating a fucking, you know, career. And a lot of times I'll fucking, you know, I cheat myself, and I you know, I push my physical health kind of backwards with some of my habits, and I let myself off the hook because I'm like, well, I'm working hard, you know. I'm working hard. I'm grinding. So
yeah, I deserve this. I
deserve to have 9 shots of tequila. I walked around town passing out cards all night.
Yeah.
You know, so I was
it's too bad society doesn't value my labor, but I was
doing boots on the ground last night. I handed out like 500 cards to the show we have Saturday. Awesome. You know, and people who seem to really appreciate, like, getting a physical card from a person, like, hey, doing this. Animal. Because less people do that now. Everything's all social media. Scan this, fucking click that.
Absolute animal, dude. That, congratulations on that. Just that little, as a little side note, the amount of people that are not willing to make the ask is crazy. And by you handing out a card is making an ask. So I got to give you a lot of credit there, bro.
If you know, go and show them that you really want people to be there, then they'll be like, oh, you know, I'm learning how to promote a show. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like looking up, like, how do I fucking sell tickets if I'm not a draw? You know? And a lot of it is being a boot on the ground, fucking working, grinding, you know?
Be the boot, Jim.
Last night I went to this brewery, and they're having like a packed out trivia night. And I asked the lady if I could make an announcement because we had been there before handing out cards and stuff. And she was like, sure. So I went up and I got everyone's attention. And I told them I was gay. And then they all clapped. And I was like, beside the point, I was like, we have a show going on. So, like, I got them all going. And then I was like, hey, come to our show. We're funny.
Oh, my God.
That's awesome.
You cheeky monkey. Yeah. Wes was just talking earlier about, Wes was talking earlier about how, like, we were comparing vision boards, and Brent from the pod has an absolutely killer vision board with mantras and a picture of him at his lowest a few years ago as a reminder of the journey he's taken, and he doesn't want to go back. And Wes said that, like, you can tell, like, you know, one of those, Wes rattled off one of those forgettable cliches. Like, you can tell a lot about a man's goals by how much time he puts into his goal, like, list, his vision board, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think the same applies to what you just said, where you are taking the time to make the card, to give it to them. That's going to capture at least one more heart, or at least one more mind.
Yeah. Well, and DJ, do you mind if I talk to you like a brother?
Go for it, brother.
So that same thing that Ray just said, I think one of the areas that I would tell you as a brother is to consider is you're taking your comedy career so seriously, which what that really means is you're taking yourself seriously. You are your number one asset. I mean that literally. Like, always remember 50,000 per million. So rough valuation for assets is $1 million asset should yield you roughly $50,000 of income. So therefore you can reverse it. If you make $50,000 of income, or whatever derivative of that, 25,000 or 10,000, et cetera. If you make $50,000, you on paper are $1 million asset, right? If you can make the connection to, yes, you are your number one asset, then it's like, dude, you deserve to treat yourself like the $1 million asset that you actually are. And that gets down to, what are you putting in your body? 9 shots of tequila does not treat your asset at the proper valuation. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I go to your comedy show, I'm going to see you and your skill. And if in other areas of your life, you're taking that away, do you know what I mean? You're not respecting the asset that is you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's so much easier to think about it in terms of a house or a car or child.
Yep.
Right? Where you don't ride the car or house or child into the ground and then chuck it, right? Like, you maintain it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Lamborghini, which I believe you are, and I'm not fucking with you at all. Like, do you know how few people have gotten to where you are in your industry? This many.
And we meet a lot of turkeys. Like, we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Like, it's like this many, and you're on this huge trajectory. So it's like, don't fuck it up because you're not respecting your asset. It's like that whole thing. Like, you wouldn't put a bumper sticker on a Lamborghini, you wouldn't, or a Ferrari. So like, or you wouldn't put, you know, whatever the baseline.
But if you did, what would that bumper sticker say, Jim?
It would probably say, like, honk for Jesus.
So dude, like,
case closed.
Yeah, exactly. Right. As soon as you make that, your brain believes that fully, like, you'll stop the tequila, you'll stop whatever thing.
I would love to see Jim in person, man. Like, I bet he murders like Alex Murdoch, don't you think?
Yeah. Dude, well, honestly, bro, it's one of the reasons I respect Matt so much, is because he's getting into, like, higher levels of success. And I could tell you, the higher levels of success that he reaches, the more fundamentally sound he becomes. Like, when he came over here, we were just going through kind of war stories. And he's like, now when I get done shows, dude, he's like, you know what I do? I go home to my wife and kids. Or if I'm traveling, you know what I do? I go home to my hotel room and I read a book. Not, I'm knocking out of the park, I'm in huge crowds, etc. And then I stick around and I drink for 5 hours.
9 shots of tequila.
But it's just cool. Like, we need more leaders like that. We need more leaders like you, DJ, who are going on, like, this trajectory of success to redefine what it means for a man to be successful. Oh, not just because I want to go out and I want to have this promiscuous life and I want to get shit-faced every time because I've earned it. It's like, no, how about we redefine what that actually means? How about being, like, responsibly successful?
Yeah.
Right? And, like, taking on more responsibility because you're feeding your engine. You're not deteriorating it as you go along.
Honestly, I think the path that I'm on and everything that I'm doing has made me a better person. You know, just in other facets of my life, just because I've had to be more calculated. I've had to be more decisive. I grew up as a flighty and indecisive person. Same. Who, you know, would just the stress got high, I quit and run. It's just who I was. It's how I was raised, and I've done a lot of work to try to like hammer that and really try to be a more calculated and decisive person who, who's present,
Love
and
it.
so that, doing comedy and being obsessed with it has helped like other facets of my life, like my family life and like my relationships with my friends and like dating and stuff like that. I'm a more, outward, forward thinking, confident person because I found something that I enjoy. I was a man with no country for a while.
Yeah.
How old are you?
25.
Wow. So at double your age, I'm like on the same journey as you. I'm in the same place, really, and and I love it. Like the how that you just told my story, right? Where it's like when the stress gets higher, the pressure turns on, or there are actual kind of like deliverables or accountability. I tell a joke, I escape, I change the subject. I do drugs, I drink, I find, some woman to text on Instagram who won't complain about, dishes in the sink. And like part of growing up is sitting with that uncomfortability, like being present and knowing I'm good enough, and that I don't have to bail because like I'm good enough. And you are, Jim, and we're telling you that this whole hour, but it's obvious to us, plain as day, that you're good enough.
Well, and I think, and also recognizing that, yes, we are good enough, and it's hard, right? Like it is not an easy path to say, I'm going to sit with my emotions, or I'm going to confront the dragon that's in front of me. And then I'm just going to go over here and do this easier thing, knowing full well that easier thing is, number one, going to open a lot of loops. It's also going to open a lot of unknown chaotic loops. If I text this girl on Instagram and then I give her my phone number, and then my wife sees it. Like all boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden,
snowball.
100, dude. It's like an atomic bomb snowball. And I think we've all been in those particular situations.
An atomic bomb.
Oh, dude, it like, and we've all been there, right? Where it's like if we were truthful with ourselves, whether it be texting another girl or whether it be going out and drinking when we weren't supposed to, or it's calling out of work, whatever the hell it is. And then all of a sudden it blows up 5 months later. And our first reaction is like, oh my gosh, I'm the victim. How did this happen to me? It's like, wait a second. Remember that text 5 months ago.
And consequences of actions, right?
Exactly.
And it's like actions of consequences, rather.
Yep.
Right. Because like, I'm just texting this stranger that she looks cute in that bikini. Like, it's not cheating. Right?
Yeah. Right.
But it's not, but it is like, it is making cheating a hell of a lot more likely. Right. Or it's just like kind of like it's rolling down that hill a little bit.
Yep.
Dude,
it's one of those
that's
things.
like looking through the keyhole. Like, what's in there?
Yeah. Well, dude, in a similar analogy, right? It's like
Exactly.
one of those things where it's like, oh, no. That person walked through the door. It's like you left it open.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jim, you're wrong. It's that like, because looking through the keyhole, you're not seeing the girl kind of putting on the towel, getting out of the bath, or the guy or whatever. Anyway, the girl. It's a girl. But
It's fine, Ray. You're allowed to look at guys too.
Okay. What you should be saying is like, because that's not what's on the other side of that keyhole. The other side of that keyhole is a chaotic life where you kind of like squandered everything because you wanted to pull the ripcord and parachute away from your stress.
Yep.
Right.
It must be tough when you have the skeleton key that is selling art. That must be really tough.
Yeah, dude. No.
It's that Canadian
They got him.
Wi-Fi over there, dude. A quick side riff. I'm always curious about this. As a professional comedian, who are some of your favorite comedians?
Bernie Mac,
Okay.
Sam Kinison,
Okay.
Matt McCusker.
Hell yeah.
Shane Gillis is great. I really like that guy Stavros. He's hilarious.
Stavros. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with him.
He's great.
Stavros.
And
okay.
Louis C.K. Obviously, I think he's a genius.
He's a beast.
George Carlin. I loved it my whole life, and I never did it. And I waited until I was 21 and the world shut down. and I tried it and I loved it. Just fucking, here we are, you know.
And are you a write it out word for word guy, or you write it out in bullets, or how do you do it?
Big bullet guy. Big bullet guy. Go up there, figure out the riffs myself, and then my final version of jokes go into my notebook. When I'm trying stuff, it's all in my phone in bullet points, and I go up and I get crazy, yada yada. And then like the final version goes into the book. When I record my special, hopefully by the fall, all of that will go to bed. And then we're on to new stuff. I write every day. I never miss. I watch like master classes, and then I watch like videos of like comedians talking about comedy. You got to write every day, you know, because there's inspiration. You as a comedian, like you're just, the world is just a fucking piece of notebook paper. Everything is, you know, worthy of comedy. There's funny stuff in everything, and it's just I don't know. It's cool. I work really hard to try to be like, to write longer bits, to be able to go on stage and tell like a 15-minute bit about something. It's cool. It's cool learning that like at first when you start, you have like 3, 4, 5-minute spots. Mm-hmm. And now like tonight I'm doing a show, I'm doing a half hour. I go up there and I can really stretch my legs on all of my things, you know? And when you start getting spots like that, shit that you were doing months ago at shows where you had 5 to 7 minutes, you can really extrapolate, and you can really just, it's cool. It's when you start progressing, like you really, like when you start getting those longer spots, you really start to feel like you're progressing. It's really cool.
And you're going to be recording a special. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So currently I book shows around the city, and I'm like trying to figure out which one of those rooms I want to use to record my first special, which is a massive step because I'm going to self-produce. Usually people wait until somebody reaches out. But I'm going to self-produce because I have the cameraman, I have the editor, I have the venue. I kind of have a choice of which one. And, I've got the support system. I have people that are going to be, helping me put it all together. So, I think it's a good, I've been going back and forth every day about whether it's a good career move or not. And really what it is me having this tape that I can send to every club in the country and say, hey, I can headline. Let's set up a fucking tour. That's the next level.
Love it, dude. Outstanding, buddy. Congratulations on I would say this, congratulations on the hard work and the results that are achieved from that hard work. Mm-hmm. So I think you're doing outstanding, brother. I don't think Ray's going to be able to get on again. I think he's kind of on, but I
think he's there in the corner.
Ray, can you hear us, bro?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So we were just riffing real quick on DJ's process, as well as, the success that he's achieved because of his hard work. Just doing outstanding things, man.
Can you all hear me?
So much credit. Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah. I was in and out there. My phone died. And just before Jim was going to tell me what he sees when he looks through keyholes or something. But I know that, so I was in and out of that, the rest of that conversation. And the thing is, I'm confronted with a similar challenge, right? Where it's like, you're not going to get paid for creating those personal promotional materials, right? That's time that you're investing in your future self that nobody's forcing you to do. But it's kind of like essential for unlocking the next level of your career. And you don't know when it's going to pay off. You don't know when it's going to come in handy. You don't know when the person who wants to see it is,
There's no script.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no this has how it goes. Yada yada yada. A B C. It's not linear. It takes all sorts of avenues,
Well, and the theme of today, in true spirit of closing this thing out, is the work is not the work. The shipping is the work. At what point does the value transfer? And for all of us who are hiding behind, right, the deadlines, who are hiding behind not sending over the email or not handing out the cards or not getting on the stage or not solidifying the business deal and raise case, et cetera, or whatever that is for all of us, and we all have our own, how can we commit to this week, right, closing those loops and shipping? So dudes, thank you guys. Love you guys. DJ, awesome to fucking see you again, bro. Keep crushing it. Ray, keep crushing it. Have a great weekend.
Hell yes. What an inspiration you are, DJ.
Yeah, dude.
You guys are the best, dude. You guys are the best.